What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And the White House is starting to let slip their plans to release stimulus checks through a presidential executive order. But first, if you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on future updates about the stimulus checks, the unemployment, and related news. My wife and I do all the research for you every single day so we can bring you all the information in a quick, concise video. And don't forget to smash the thumbs up button for us or the like button for us down below. It really helps out our channel. Okay, first up, Larry Kudlow, who is the U.S. National Economic Advisor for the White House, has said that they have money that they can repurpose for additional stimulus funds, aka stimulus checks. This is the first time we have heard anybody besides President Donald Trump say this, and that they actually can do it and repurpose the money to be used for stimulus checks through a presidential executive order. Larry Kudlow said the administration had relief dollars left over from the CARES Act that they could put towards other stimulus measures. When asked on Thursday whether he thought a new stimulus package could possibly pass Congress now, and that the Supreme Court vacancy has become a key issue, Kudlow indicated he didn't think the administration's relief plans would be affected by the judicial situation at the moment. He says, "Our side has an efficient targeting assistance package, stuff we think is necessary," Kudlow said, adding that there is money left over that could be repurposed towards those efforts. Now, this goes back to President Trump's speech, which was several weeks ago at this point, where he said if Congress doesn't come to an agreement before the elections and before they go on recess again to basically go back to their states for their re-election campaigns, that he could use $300 billion that's sitting in a fund from the first stimulus package that's basically just sitting there and hasn't been used. And the president is considering passing it through a presidential executive order if Congress doesn't come to an agreement. Now, this is exactly what he did the first time around when he passed those 4 executive orders, which the main one was the unemployment extension. He basically did the exact same thing. There was money sitting in a fund, in this case, the Disaster Relief Fund. He took that money from the Disaster Relief Fund and basically used it for unemployment money through a presidential executive order. I think he's going to do exactly the same thing in exactly the same way. The way he did it last time is Congress was set to go on a previous recess. Well, because Congress goes on recess basically every 2 to 3 weeks. They're going on recess. I don't even know. I can't even stick up for them anymore. I mean, not that I stick up for them, but technically their recess is basically them going back to their states and cities to work in their districts. And this time around, it's basically to go back for their re-election campaigns in their own district. But man, they just do it so often. It's every month they're going back on recess. So I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'm sure you will. But what happened is they went on recess last time and they didn't come to an agreement. And the very next day, the president was like, "That's it. I've had enough. I'm going to pass a presidential executive order," and for 4 different things. It was the unemployment money, the payroll tax holiday, which basically gives pretty much everybody working a 6.2% raise as long as they've opted into it. He had the eviction memorandum and the student loan deferral payments to the end of the year. So he passed all 4 of those things with a presidential executive order. And basically, most states got 6 weeks of additional unemployment money. That was the main one that they actually used money for, because the other ones they didn't actually use money from. Now, a lot of people said that they couldn't do this, and he did it anyways. He basically passed the presidential executive order, used the money that was sitting there in that disaster relief fund, and repurposed it for unemployment money. And this is exactly what Larry Kudlow is saying that they could do again. And it's funny that they're saying this now basically about a week before they go on recess again. I think the exact same thing is going to happen. I think if they go on recess without an agreement for a stimulus package, which the Democrats are crafting a new stimulus bill, we'll talk about that here in a second. So if they go on recess again without a stimulus bill passed, I think they're going to basically, the president's going to do the same thing. The very next day or two, he's going to announce that he's going to pass a presidential executive order. And then the next day, he literally came out with the presidential executive order and just signed it. And within 48 hours, we had it passed. And everybody was like, oh, can he do that? I don't think he could do that. I don't know. But he did it, and it passed, and millions of Americans got extra unemployment boost money, which basically helped them out from losing their job. I mean, if they're unemployed right now, it means they recently have lost their job, which is from this pandemic, which has been going on for like 6 months now. So if they lost their job to this pandemic, the president stepped in and helped them out with an additional 6 weeks of unemployment. I think he's going to do the exact same thing with stimulus checks this time around, through a presidential executive order. You guys can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, but I don't think there's any way the president is going to not go into this election without having stimulus checks passed. I think he's going to do anything in his power to get the stimulus checks passed. And there's also a conspiracy theory that has been floated out there for a little bit of time now that the Republicans know he's going to do this, and then thus they haven't been as eager to make a deal with your favorite person, Nancy Pelosi. I know, you guys have told me so many times in the comments that she's your favorite person. Thousands of people, every single video say Nancy Pelosi is my favorite person. I know, but the president says that he's going to go over her head and pass it anyway, so we will have to see. Okay, next up, Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, the main negotiator for the Republicans, says on a new round of stimulus, let's pass something quickly. They all know that this deadline is up basically at the end of the month when Congress is going to go back on recess, even though Nancy Pelosi says they're not. Nancy Pelosi says they're going to stay in-house for the House of Representatives. They're going to stay in Washington, but I don't think they're going to. Anyways, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says he's willing to sit down anytime with the Democrats to negotiate on a new round of stimulus package and that he wants to pass something quickly. This is exactly what we're seeing happen because Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin have already restarted their negotiations. They've already been renegotiating within the last 48 hours or so over the stimulus package. So we really just want them to come to an agreement, because if they come to an agreement, that means the Democrats and the Republicans are behind it, and it'll pass quickly. The House will pass it, the Senate will pass it probably within a day or two, and it'll be on the president's desk in the next morning, and our checks will start to go out. So we really just want the negotiations to just happen. Let's have an agreement. Then if they can't, then the president will step in. But let's just get it passed through an agreement. There's a lot more things in an agreement than just the stimulus checks. They have the unemployment money. They have money for small businesses, PPP loans, paycheck protection programs to help people keep their jobs with small businesses and help out the small business owner. There's money for schools in there. There's money for SNAP programs and stuff like that. There's all sorts of things in there that help out people more than just the stimulus checks. I know the majority of people want the stimulus check because it affects the majority of people, but a stimulus package is a lot better because there's just all those other things in there that help out other people in addition to the stimulus check. In addition to that, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are putting pen to paper and crafting their own stimulus bill right now before they go on recess that is set to come in at around $2.2 trillion or $2.4 trillion. What is going to be in this bill is stimulus checks, and there's also talk that the stimulus checks for dependents might be higher this time around, might be $1,200 instead of $500. That's what the Democrats wanted back from their HEROES bill from several months ago, is it included $1,200 checks for every single individual and also $1,200 checks for dependents. Dependents are all children. So if you're a family of 4, instead of receiving $1,200 and $1,200 for 2 adults and $500 for 2 children, which would be $3,400, you would get $1,200 for dependents also, which would be $4,800 instead of $3,400 if you're a family of 4. That's just an example because, the average family is, 2 adults and 2.2 children. I don't know how you have 2.2 children, but me and my wife are definitely going to try to do that. Okay, so that's good news. If the Democrats put that in there, there's some talk that the dependent check will be higher. Okay, there's also going to be an unemployment extension, and it might be to the end of the year, but there's also talk that it might go into January also. So that would be a good thing because more money for people is a good thing. Okay, there's going to be money for schools in there, and there's going to be some new money for states and cities, of course. Your favorite person, Nancy Pelosi, has got to have all this money for states and cities, like $1 trillion. It's got to be the most money ever. It's got to go to states and cities. Only $300 billion is going to the stimulus checks. She needs like 3 times that amount for states and cities because, they're the most important thing. I know. Your favorite person, I know. So there's going to be money for states and cities in there. There's going to be money for schools, and there's also likely to be money for the airlines in there and money for restaurants in there. Remember, the airlines have this urgent deadline to October 1st, the end of the month. If they don't get more bailout funds before then basically they're going to have to lay off thousands of people and actually could go out of business. Airlines are notorious for going out of business during good times alone. If you ever Google airline bankruptcies, you can see the list of bankruptcies they have, like literally every year, even in good times. And in bad times, it's obviously a lot worse. So if they don't get more government money, we could see mass amounts of airlines basically crash the entire airline industry. And if that happens, the stock market will likely follow with it and also lay off thousands of airline workers. So we don't want to see that happen. So they have a deadline of October 1st. So this urgency for the airlines is actually making them your friend because that means they want to pass this stimulus package before then, which is only about a week away or less, okay? They also might have money for restaurants. So if you own a restaurant or if you work at a restaurant or your local small business restaurants that are going out of business in mass amounts of numbers, record numbers right now, they might receive additional money also. So if you own a restaurant, your family owns a restaurant, or you're worried about your local restaurant going out of business, this is only good news for restaurants and pretty much everybody else. Lily wants to say hi. She just jumped up here. Say hi. Say hi. Tell them what your name is. Say, my name is Lily. Boy, look at that face. You don't look happy to be on camera. Why is that? She wants to go. All right, go. So we really want to see this come to fruition. Have the Democrats draft their plan. Let's see if they can basically just pass it. Because if they come in with a low enough amount, like $2.2 trillion, the president might actually just say, hey, Republicans, let's just pass this. Again, the money doesn't come out of our pockets. Let's just pass it and get it done before the election because, hey, I'm up for re-election. And by the way, so are you guys. So let's just pass this bill. And if she comes in at $2.2 trillion instead of 2.4, not that there's a big difference there. I think that President Donald Trump might tell the Republicans to just pass it and let's get it done. There's a bunch of hair flying around now. Can you see it? You might be like, oh, there's a ghost in there. But no, it's actually just the hair flying around. So let's hope the president just says pass it. Now, of course, we know he has this presidential executive order in his back pocket, so they might not be that eager to agree with the Democrats, but really we just want them to pass it either way. And remember, the stimulus package is actually better than the stimulus package is actually better than the executive order because this executive order has just the checks, and obviously the package has all these other things that would be a lot better. So make sure you guys have subscribed so you don't miss out on new videos coming out, and make sure you've hit the like button for me. I will update you guys as soon as new information comes out. And you can click on this video to watch my newest stimulus check videos next. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.